The depth charge detonates at 0840 hours on August 1st, 1940. The explosion occurs approximately 50 feet above HMS Spearfish, lying on bottom of North Sea at depth of 260 feet. The concussion throws crew members against bulkheads. Light bulbs shatter. Cork insulation rains from overhead. The submarine's hull groans from pressure wave stress. Lieutenant Commander John Forbes, commanding Spearfish, orders silent routine maintained. No one moves. No equipment operates. The crew waits in darkness, broken only by emergency lighting, listening for sounds indicating next attack. The waiting lasts 3 minutes before another depth charge explodes, then another. The pattern continues. German destroyers and patrol boats above have detected Spearfish and will not relinquish contact. The attack, beginning at 0600 hours, will continue until 2200 hours. 16 hours of sustained depth charging represents longest continuous attack on British submarine during World War II. The crew will endure explosions numbering over 250, creating psychological and physical ordeal, testing limits of human endurance and submarine structural integrity. The Spearfish will survive through combination of captain's tactical skill, crew discipline, boat's construction quality, and substantial measure of fortune. The context begins on July 31st, when Spearfish departs patrol position off Norwegian coast, returning to base at Rosyth, Scotland. The patrol, Spearfish's fourth war patrol, has been routine by submarine standards. No targets encountered, no attacks conducted. The return transit should be straightforward navigation through North Sea, avoiding German patrols. But intelligence indicates increased German anti-submarine activity along probable return routes. Forbes elects to proceed submerged during daylight, surfacing only at night to charge batteries and make better speed. The detection occurs at 0545 hours on August 1st, when German patrol boat locates Spearfish at periscope depth during morning navigation fix. The patrol boat, one of multiple vessels escorting convoy along Norwegian coast, detects periscope visually and attacks immediately. Forbes orders crash dive to 200 feet. Standard response to detection. The dive is successful, achieving depth before patrol boat reaches attack position. But the patrol boat maintains sonar contact and summons additional anti-submarine vessels. By 0600 hours, 3 patrol boats and 1 destroyer have arrived and begin coordinated depth charge attack. The initial attacks use standard German pattern of dropping depth charges in cluster around estimated submarine position. The charges, Type C, weighing approximately 300 pounds explosive each, are set to detonate at 200 feet, based on assumed submarine operating depth. Spearfish at 260 feet is below detonation depth, but within lethal radius if charges fall accurately. The first salvo of 6 charges detonates in pattern around and above Spearfish. The explosions are loud, violent, and terrifying, but cause no major damage. Cork insulation shakes loose. Some gauges crack, but hull integrity holds, and critical systems function. Forbes assesses situation and recognizes that evading attacks requires either moving to different position or remaining absolutely still, hoping attackers lose contact. Movement creates noise detectable by German sonar. Remaining still provides smallest sonar signature, but risks being pinned in position where attackers can methodically search. Forbes chooses to remain on bottom, reasoning that sonar return from submarine on sea floor may be confused with bottom return, making precise location difficult. The tactic requires crew to maintain absolute silence and endure attacks without responding. The silent routine is ordered at 0630 hours. All non-essential equipment is shut down. Crew members sit or lie still in their positions. No one speaks above whisper. Movement is minimized. The submarine becomes quiet as possible, while German sonar pings throughout the hull, searching for target. The psychological burden of silence routine is severe. Men cannot relieve stress through activity. They cannot communicate normally. They sit in dim light, listening to explosions and wondering when direct hit will rupture hull and send seawater crushing through compartments too fast to escape. The pattern of attacks continues through morning. German vessels circle submarine's approximate position, dropping depth charges every few minutes. The attackers vary depth settings, attempting to bracket target. Some charges detonate at 150 feet. others at 200 feet, some at 250 feet. The varying depths ensure that regardless of submarine's actual depth, some charges detonate close enough to cause damage. Spearfish at 260 feet experiences closest charges as detonations 50 feet above or 10 feet below, both within range, causing significant effects. The cumulative damage through morning includes electrical system failures as insulation breaks down from repeated shocks. Lighting becomes unreliable. Some circuits short out, creating small fires that are extinguished quickly. The main motor bearings overheat from accumulated vibration stress. Cooling must be provided, but water pumps create noise. Engineers activate pumps briefly, accept noise risk, then shut down before German sonar operators can localize sound. The hydraulic systems develop leaks from loosened fittings. Oil spreads across deck, creating slipping hazards. The leaks must be stopped, but repairs require tools and movement that create noise. The crew's physical condition deteriorates as hours pass. The air quality decreases as carbon dioxide accumulates from crew breathing. The submarine's carbon dioxide scrubbers operate, but without ventilation, air becomes stale and headache-inducing. The temperature rises from accumulated body heat and equipment operating in closed space. Men sweat in humid atmosphere while remaining motionless, preserving oxygen. The combination of heat, bad air, fear, and enforced immobility creates misery beyond normal submarine operations. The psychological stress manifests differently among crew members. Some become withdrawn, retreating internally and avoiding eye contact. Others become hyper-alert, flinching at every sound and watching shipmates nervously. A few show remarkable calm, maintaining composure and providing example. Others draw strength from. Forbes moves through boat during quiet periods, speaking briefly to men, providing reassurance through presence and demeanor. His calm exterior, whether genuine or performed, helps crew maintain discipline. The midday period from 1200 to 1400 hours brings intensification of attacks. German vessels, having maintained contact for 6 hours, increase attack tempo, attempting to force submarine to surface or break through hull. The depth charges come in salvos of 8 to 10 explosives, detonating in rapid sequence. The overlapping explosions create continuous concussion, lasting 30 seconds or more. The sustained shock is worse than individual explosions. The hull flexes repeatedly. Rivets pop. Seams weep. Small leaks develop that must be plugged immediately before they enlarge. The most dangerous moment occurs at 13:20 hours, when salvo detonates directly above submarine, with charges set at 250 feet. The explosions, occurring within 20 feet of hull, create pressure wave that compresses hull plating visibly. The forward torpedo room hatch, secured but not designed for such pressure, begins leaking around gasket. Water streams into compartment under pressure. The leak must be stopped, but the hatch cannot be opened to replace gasket without flooding compartment. The solution is hammering wooden wedges around hatch perimeter, forcing temporary seal. The hammering creates noise that German sonar detects, but leak must be stopped regardless of noise penalty. The afternoon period, from 1400 to 1800 hours, tests crew endurance as attack continues without pause. The accumulated stress of 10 hours under attack degrades performance and judgment. Crew members make mistakes they would not normally make, dropping tools, miscommunicating orders, moving carelessly, creating noise. Forbes and senior officers must remain vigilant, catching errors before they compromise boat security. The error correction itself creates tension, as officers reprimand exhausted men for understandable failures of concentration. The battery charge becomes critical concern by 1600 hours. The submarine has been submerged since 0545 hours, approximately 10 hours. Normal battery endurance at rest is approximately 24 hours, but accumulated electrical faults and occasional equipment operation have drained batteries faster than normal. By 1600 hours remaining, battery capacity is approximately 50%. If attack continues through night, batteries will exhaust before submarine can surface to recharge. Exhausted batteries mean loss of all electrical power, including lighting, pumps, and control surfaces. The submarine would be helpless on bottom, unable to surface or navigate. Forbes calculates that battery endurance allows approximately 8 more hours submerged. If German attack continues past midnight, Spearfish will be forced to surface regardless of risk. Surfacing into waiting destroyers means almost certain destruction. Forbes shares this calculation only with First Officer and Chief Engineer. The crew is informed only that battery situation is manageable, avoiding additional stress from knowledge that time is running out. The evening period, from 1800 to 2200 hours, brings gradual decrease in attack intensity. German vessels, having expended many depth charges and achieved no visible result, reduce attack tempo to conserve weapons. The explosions continue, but intervals between salvos lengthen from minutes to 15 or 20 minutes. The reduced tempo provides no relief, as crew cannot know whether pause means attack ending or just temporary respite. Each quiet period is uncertain, waiting for next explosion. The final attack occurs at 2140 hours, when German vessels drop last depth charges in wide pattern around submarine's estimated position. The explosions are distant, suggesting attackers have lost precise contact. After 2140, no more explosions occur. The silence, after 16 hours of continuous noise, is almost shocking. Crew members look at each other questioningly, afraid to hope that attack has ended. Forbes waits 30 minutes, then another 30, confirming no more charges are falling. At 2200 hours, he declares attack ended and begins preparations to surface. The surfacing must be conducted carefully, as German vessels may still be nearby. Forbes orders submarine brought to periscope depth slowly. At periscope depth, visual search reveals no vessels visible in darkness. Radar, if functioning after damage, shows no contacts. Forbes waits additional 15 minutes, confirming area is clear. At 2230 hours, Spearfish surfaces. The crew opens hatches and fresh air floods into boat. Men breathe deeply, relieving 10 hours of stale air. The relief is physical and psychological. The boat is safe. The ordeal is over. The damage assessment after surfacing reveals extensive wear but no catastrophic failures. The hull shows stress fractures around frames. Multiple systems have failures requiring repair. The battery charge is at 20%, critically low but sufficient for short run on surface charging. The boat is operational but needs shipyard work. Forbes sets course for Rosyth at best speed on surface. The transit is completed without incident. Spearfish arrives Rosyth on August 2nd and enters shipyard for repairs requiring 6 weeks. The analysis of attack identifies factors enabling survival. The submarine's construction quality, built by Vickers Armstrong to high standards, allowed hull to withstand repeated shock beyond design specifications. Forbes's decision to sit on bottom and remain silent made accurate targeting difficult. German depth charge doctrine, setting charges too shallow for submarine at 260 feet, meant most explosions occurred above target. The crew's discipline maintaining silence prevented giving Germans better targeting information. Fortune played role as none of hundreds of depth charges achieved direct hit. The psychological aftermath affects crew differently. Some return to patrol immediately after repairs, with apparent full recovery. Others request transfer to other duties, having reached limit of stress tolerance. Several crew members suffer ongoing symptoms of combat stress, including nightmares, hypervigilance, and startle responses. The Royal Navy in 1940 has minimal understanding of combat trauma and no systematic treatment. Men cope individually, some successfully, and others struggling silently with symptoms. Forbes receives Distinguished Service Order for leadership during attack. The citation specifically mentions maintaining crew morale and discipline through 16-hour ordeal and making tactical decisions that preserved boat. Several crew members receive commendations. Spearfish receives battle honor for patrol. The recognition is appropriate, but cannot fully acknowledge what crew endured or how close boat came to destruction. The comparison to other depth charge attacks shows 16 hours is exceptional duration. Most attacks last 1 to 3 hours before submarines escape or are destroyed. Sustained attacks beyond 6 hours are rare. 16 hours represents extreme outlier, reflecting both German determination and submarine's fortunate position and construction. No other British submarine endures comparable sustained attack during war. The record stands as testimony to human endurance and engineering robustness. The technical lessons include recognition that submarines can survive extended attacks if hull construction is sound and crew maintains discipline. The experience validates British submarine design, emphasizing structural strength over other characteristics. The lesson about silent running effectiveness is reinforced, showing that minimizing noise creates targeting difficulty, compensating for being trapped in position. The battery endurance issue highlights need for improved battery capacity or auxiliary power for extended submerged operations. The human lessons emphasize importance of leadership during crisis. Forbes's calm demeanor and visible presence throughout attack provided model for crew behavior. His tactical decisions were sound and communicated clearly. His willingness to share danger rather than isolating control room built trust. The contrast between officers who lead from front and those who command from rear becomes apparent under extreme stress. Forbes's leadership style, tested in literally crushing circumstances, exemplifies effective command. The crew's experience provides insight into submarine warfare's psychological dimension. Surface combat involves visible enemy and ability to fight back. Submarine depth charge attacks involve invisible enemy and no ability to respond. The helplessness creates stress distinct from other combat. Men can only endure, cannot fight, cannot flee, can only wait and hope. Next explosion is not fatal. The psychological burden of passive endurance under attack exceeds active fighting in creating lasting trauma. Spearfish completes 4 additional patrols after repair, operating through 1943 without similar incident. The submarine is decommissioned in 1944 and sold for scrap in 1946. No preservation effort is made. The boat achieved no spectacular victories, sank no capital ships, conducted no famous operations beyond surviving 16-hour attack. The survival, while remarkable, is not dramatic enough to generate preservation advocacy. The physical artifact is lost, but story survives in patrol reports and crew accounts. The 16-hour marathon remains legendary among submarine veterans. The story is told at reunions and training schools as example of what submarines and crews can endure. The duration becomes benchmark against which other attacks are measured. When submariners describe depth charge attacks, reference to Spearfish provides context. Was it worse or not as bad as Spearfish's 16 hours? The benchmark function keeps story alive beyond participant generation. The final assessment acknowledges that 16-hour attack involved minimal luck and maximum endurance. Every hour survived decreased probability of surviving next hour, as cumulative damage weakened boat and exhausted crew. That boat remained intact and crew maintained discipline through 16 hours, represents achievement exceeding normal expectations. The achievement derives from no single factor, but from combination of construction quality, leadership effectiveness, crew discipline, tactical judgment, and yes, fortune that no depth charge achieved direct hit despite hundreds of explosions. The Spearfish crew, unremarkable men in unremarkable submarine, achieved remarkable survival through ordinary virtues, discipline, courage, endurance, obedience to orders, trust in leadership, faith in shipmates. The virtues sound abstract until tested by 16 hours of high-explosive detonations overhead, while trapped on seafloor, breathing increasingly foul air, while wondering if next explosion will rupture hull and send water crushing in at lethal pressure. The abstraction becomes concrete when alternative to maintaining discipline is panic leading to certain death. The 16 hours transformed ordinary virtues into extraordinary survival. The crew endured what should not be endurable and survived what should not be survivable. The achievement is their monument, more lasting than bronze or stone, preserved in memory of what humans can endure when necessary and when leadership, training, and courage combine at moment of maximum stress to produce survival against extraordinary odds in circumstances that should produce death.